Coming up on this episode of Driven, we'll see the story on men's volleyball player Marty Nemchevsky, who is a champion in another sport.
We will also see the story on his Brazilian teammate, Hiago Garchet.
And we'll also see two stories of resilience for upperclassmen Sean Godfrey and Ashlyn Rang. Don't go anywhere. All that and more is coming up next on Driven.
Ball State Sports Links Driven is proudly presented by Stoops Automotive. Online at stoopsauto.com.
Hi everyone, I'm Zach Hughes and this is Connor Onion. Welcome inside Studio B on the campus of Ball State University for this episode of Driven presented by Stoops. Driven to be the best. Connor, you're usually our social media guru, but a little bit of a promotion, co-host, and in the first segment today.
Well, it definitely pains me inside not to have the social media segment this month, but I'm glad you and my agent could work something out and I could co-host with you here.
That's right. If you do want to check out our social media, though, you got lots of selfie options.
That's right. You're the star of the show when it comes to selfies.
Well, we begin the April edition with a story on men's volleyball player Hiago Garchet. The sophomore setter from Brazil has a unique connection that helped bring him to Muncie. Check out his story, produced by Braden Schlegelmilch, Ben Johnston, and Andy Wright.
Hiago Garchet, Ball State sophomore, setter, number 8.
The way, I scream sometimes and all that, it's for me. When I make it happen, I just want to scream and vibrate and all that. It's really the way I am.
There are a lot of players that are really passionate when they do well. Hiago's more of a player that's passionate when the team does well. And I think he uses his passion in a positive way. It really lifts up the team around him and makes everybody that's playing beside him feel better about what they're doing.
Of course, we have to work hard in practice and all that, but I think we gotta have fun a little bit too and laugh. It's part of the whole thing.
Hiago's fun nature and passion comes from his playing days in his home nation of Brazil.
I'm from a city called Belo Horizonte, which is the capital of the state of Minas Gerais. I was the setter for the state team. I started playing with my team. It's called Minas Tennis Clube, which is a club. It's a big tournament where you play state against the state, so each state has their own team.
Hiago's teams earned 2 second-place finishes and 1 third. After all his success, it was time for Hiago to make a decision.
I had to decide, to either go play pro or study. And my dad always told me, just go to the US, go to college there. You won't regret it, And I could come here and not just play volleyball, which is what I love to do, but also get a degree, in a good school as Ball State.
He wanted to come in as a freshman. We didn't have the money that it took. And really at that time, the timing as far as needing a setter, it just wasn't perfect.
I had the opportunity at Park. I went there with a really good scholarship. I was there, but my mind was here already, since my freshman year. I wanted the opportunity to happen, and I was just waiting for it.
Hiago waited, hoping for an opportunity to come to Ball State. The tide would soon turn in his favor.
We asked permission from his school to contact him. They gave us permission, and then we contacted him, and we were able to get him to come in as a sophomore.
Joe was really happy to see me, and I was really happy as well. I asked him to hug him.
From one Brazilian to another, 20 years later, history was made.
He played for Ball State in 1993 to 1997. He was the setter. He was number 8. He was from Brazil, Eduardo Ferraz. And he was one of the best setters in the history of this program.
Now here is Eduardo Ferraz. Ferraz was the Midwest Conference Player of the Year. He's a senior from Vitória, Brazil.
They're both formerly outside attackers that then became setters. They both have very soft hands. They deliver a ball that tends to float, and it's a very easy ball to go up and attack. They both communicate extremely well also.
Two Brazilian setters, united by one school, united by one unexpected friendship.
I met him last year. He was already signed with Ball State, but I heard about him before because we played for the same club.
We don't see each other a lot, but we met a couple of times, and he was just like a dad, you know. It was a person that I had there that I could trust on.
Whenever an athlete comes to me and asks about my experience, I just have to say good things about it and encourage them to do the same. It's a great thing for them, for their sports career, but also for his education and his future.
One legacy in stone, another in the making. Hiago is determined to lead Ball State back to the Final Four.
To make us go to the Final Four and why not a national champion? I want to know how that feels. That's what I dream about every day. It's hard, it's really hard. There's so many good players everywhere, but it's possible. Eduardo was a guy that went to the Final Four 3 times. He won this conference three times out of the 4 times he was here.
He will have the challenge to take the team back to the Final Four, but I think he's a great setter. He has great leadership skills. I think he's got a great future ahead of him. So it's just nice to see another Brazilian setter, number 8, playing for Ball State. He made a great choice to the United States and play volleyball for a college. The best deal.
And honestly, this was the best thing I did my whole life so far. Being here, you know, I'm really blessed to be here because this is something that, you know, a lot of people dream about, but it doesn't happen.
For Ball State Sports Link, I'm Andy Wright.
Garchet played behind All-Miva setter Graham McIlvain this year, but with his graduation, you'll want to see all the skills that Garchet brings from his experiences playing in Brazil. Crazy to think that he comes to college from a different country. I could never imagine doing something like that.
That's right, and we've got 2 more years to watch him,
That's
so
right.
Joel Walton has to be ecstatic about the fact that he's
you
coming
lose
back
one of
into
your
our season.
best setters all time, and
then
you just bring in another.
Right, exactly. But we'll switch gears here. We'll go over to the tennis courts. And when someone uses the term Tommy John surgery, many of you may often assume we'd be talking about baseball. But in this instance, we take a look at junior tennis player Ashlyn Rang and how she overcame the surgery and has continued to compete. Here's a Serve of Passion produced by Ben Johnston.
For junior Ashlyn Rang, the game of tennis has been in her family for many generations, but her love and passion for the game started when she was just a child.
I was 5 when I started, and it started just kind of in the family. My mom worked at a tennis club. My oldest sister, started playing. My brother followed suit, not as seriously, and then I just started playing, and you know, it's just one of those things, you love it or you don't, and I loved it.
I have 4 kids, and of all my 4 kids, I would say she had the biggest passion for tennis, and she constantly wanted to play nonstop. And of course, being at the club working, it was easy for her just to come to work with me and jump on the court.
There's a lot of things I love. I love that you're in your own world. Like it's really just you out there. You're the only one who can control everything. It's very mental. It's up to you to do well. You have to put the time into it. You have to have a focused attitude. You have to have a clear head. Like, it's all on you. And I liked having that responsibility and that challenge in a way.
That responsibility and challenge has led Ashlyn to a strong college career, but could not help her overcome what was about to happen.
The spring season of my freshman year, every time towards the end, my right elbow would blow up like a balloon after every single match, and it would hurt on almost everything. And I would go to the trainer, and I could just tell by her eyes that something wasn't right. Right when season was over, we headed to Indy to the doctor and figured it out.
After meeting with the doctors, Ashlyn found out she would have to have Tommy John surgery.
I'd been fortunate enough never to be injured in junior tennis. So injuries were new to me. And we just kind of had an open mind. We didn't really think anything serious. We're going to take it by the horns and figure it out and take care of it right away, but we didn't expect it to be anything major.
Unfortunately, going into the surgery, we did not feel she was going to have the full-blown transplant.
There was a small possibility they wouldn't have to do the full Tommy John, so I hung on to that hope as long as I possibly could. And when I woke up from the anesthesia, that's the first question I asked was, did you have to do the full Tommy John surgery? And they said yes.
It was very, very hard, emotionally for all of us, but then also I think for Ashlyn too, because of her passion and her love for the game. Plus she had become so attached to the school and her teammates. And it was very hard for her to think that this was possibly something that might not continue.
I didn't get to pick up a racket for 4.5 to 5 months. So in that meantime, that span where I didn't play, I was going to the doctor, doing physical therapy almost every day.
I knew that it was a very difficult process for her, but I think what was more difficult for her was not being able to play. I remember the Michigan State match, she came up to me and was like, what do I have to do to get better, right after the match? And what do I have to do to play? And I was really impressed by that because I think she approached it in a humble way. It wasn't like, you know, why am I not playing? It was more like, you know, what do I need to do to get better? And I could tell that that kind of mindset was going to help her overcome the injury, and I just knew that it was only a matter of time.
Nothing is more motivating than sitting on the sidelines and watching your team compete and knowing you could be out there, but you can't, and it's not your fault. Like, it's out of your control. So that has been my biggest drive, my biggest motivation.
After recovering from surgery, Ashlyn channeled her passion for the game to return to the court.
It's awesome. I mean, I'm back. I don't have any injuries. There are some little minor ones here or there, but you learn after you have a major one that any little injury, like, you're going to be fine, you're going to get through it. And at first, coming back, it was hard because I was scared I'd injure it again or something like that. But you kind of get over that really quickly. You realize everything is now fixed and just go on focusing and playing how you were. So.
The smile from ear to ear was huge, and she's a very vocal player, so you could definitely tell she was back on the court because her yelling during her matches, it was very motivating for, I think, for the rest of the team, as well as herself, but also for us as her parents, because we knew she was back. You could definitely tell.
For Ball State Sports Link, I'm Ben Johnston.
Great work there by Ben Johnston. Great to see Ashlyn back on the court playing tennis, the sport she is so passionate about. And while she has returned, her team did not perform too shabby this year either. The team finished 16-9 in their first year under head coach Max Norris. Meanwhile, Rang individually tallied 10 match wins in singles play, as well as 10 more with their doubles partner, Courtney Wild.
Really a great season for the women's tennis team, and also a great season for the men's tennis team. They won the MAC championship, and you can check out that story on our social media. But we switch gears and we head out to the track. The 4 Ball State track throwers are in a special situation at Ball State. They get to learn from head coach Randy Heisler, who is one of the best throwers in United States track history. Here's the story of their special connection, produced by Tyler Bradfield and Dylan Welch.
My high school coach was also my basketball coach, and he was like, you're big, you got long arms, you should come throw. It's like, well, I kind of want a high jump, so I'm going to do that. So I would like fight with him for all of 8th grade and 7th grade. It's like, no, I want a high jump, I want a high jump. And he would let me do it for fun, but he's like, one day you're going to throw it, and you're going to not want to jump anymore.
When you throw things far, it just makes you feel good about yourself. When you can just do something, you get away from all the school that you can't do and control, and you can just come out here and throw and be good and be with other people that like doing it too, and just the environment's really great.
I was fortunate enough to compete for a number of years post-collegiately, competing in the Olympic Games, a couple World Championships, Pan Am Games, and got to travel all over the world.
I think from his stories about competition, like when he was throwing really like helps because it's like okay, if I just think of it as like, I'm just throwing with a few other people I'm not used to.
Sometimes it's more of a scare tactic and I'm a little bit afraid sometimes, but other times he's really supportive, so just depends on what I need.
And I'm their biggest cheerleader. I believe probably more than anybody on this team in what our kids can accomplish. They limit because they just tend to not look that far down the road that's what they could do. And then before you know it, their career is over.
Just being a girls throw group is pretty unique. So we just have a lot of things in common. We can come out and practice early, and we each have our own events and specialties. So you're competing against each other, but at the same time, you're encouraging each other.
They're my best friends. Like I'm not a very social person. Once you get to know me, I'll open up and I'll be excited, but they're the ones that know everything.
Both of those young ladies have gone to the conference meet, and in the last 2 years have really elevated our throwing as last weekend. I mean, we had 3 girls all throw PRs in all their events, move up substantially in the conference, and we're still a month out, so we've got a lot of opportunities. It means a lot, and it means a lot when we go out to try to recruit.
We all want to go to MAC, and we're all there and really close on the list. I mean, personally, I would love to score. I went last year and was really close. So I would say our goal for everybody is to score, but get there is definitely first priority.
I'm satisfied with where I am, but I'm not. But I can't be mad at myself for not throwing well. I can't be mad about it, but sometimes you have to just throw angry and get it. So if I know I can reach it, if I know I can do it, I'll get it.
Thank you for the Ball State track team for sharing that story. Now from outside, back inside, we go back to Worthen Arena and the Ball State men's volleyball team and outside attacker Marty Nimchevsky, who led the team with 320 kills in the 2014 season. While his ability as a volleyball player is undeniable, Marty has honed his skills in another category off the court. Here's his story entitled A Different Match, produced by Andrew Baltimore, Peter Loomis, and Matt Organ.
You can't really underestimate your opponent. To him, it was a really big deal that I played and became good at it. Is it their lucky day? Is it your lucky day? Volleyball's run through the whole family, basically, and so starting with my mom, she played in Poland, semi-pro, and then my sisters all played college, so it was basically with them when it was just backyard volleyball, they tried to teach me. But I think by 8th grade, I was starting to show that, I'm rising above all the others, and that's when volleyball started becoming more serious, and, I started practicing more and taking it more seriously.
Even with his family history of volleyball, Marcin Nimchevsky never truly knew where his talents could take him.
Once it started really mattering, the biggest thing that went through my head was like, hey, this could get me, into some good colleges and possibly, maybe after I could go play professional, which is a lifelong, goal. The year before, I played in a different tournament in Illinois, where it's called the Illinois Chicago Open, where also players from all over the United States gather, and I ended up coming in second. The skill there is tremendous. I mean, you have really good players, so when he saw that I could get second here, he's like, you have a shot. I mean, one more game and you would have got first. So I think that was the biggest turning point.
The turning point and decisions made at the Chicago Open had little to do with volleyball. This tournament required a whole different skill set.
I mean, it was a big part of my life, and still is. To my family, it's definitely more of my dad. He's played chess all his life. He learned it from his father. So to him, it was a really big deal that I played and became good at it so that he had a companion to play with back at home. My dad signed me up. He's like, hey, we're going to go to Philadelphia. We're going to play in chess. And I'm like, all right, I've been doing this for a while now. So to me, it was just another tournament, not really a big deal.
In the game of chess, it was the biggest tournament of the year, the Philadelphia World Open.
Fear-wise, I'd say when it came down to the last 2 games, those determine if you're going to be first, second, third, and there's a huge prize on the line. So I think that most of my fear arose when I was sitting down in front of that chessboard, and you see this kid that's like 14, you're like, oh crap, is this the next world master, or what's going to happen here? But turns out he wasn't, luckily.
Niemczewski advanced and ultimately won a world championship at the age of 16. But it's the lessons learned behind the chessboard which have transferred to the court.
You can't really underestimate your opponent. You sit down at a chessboard and you'll have either an older man, 67 years old, playing with a lot of experience, or you'll have a kid that's 8 or 9 and you think, all right, well, he's just a kid, how good could he be? Well, it turns out these little 8, 9-year-olds are some of the smartest, best chess players you'll ever meet. These kids are winning national championships and whatnot. So I guess it relates to volleyball. You see a team that statistically shows they're not as good, or in the past we've been them every time. So you come into a match thinking, oh yeah, this is gonna be a blowout, easy win. Well, those games end up going to 5 and you barely win or you lose.
For Niemczewski, remembering those lessons learned and never letting up led to starting as a sophomore.
Number 15, Marty, the Hammer, Niemczewski.
And he didn't stop there. He received a National Player of the Week accolade this season, the first for a Ball State player in 4 years. For Ball State Sports Link, I'm Zach Hughes.
Marty and the men's volleyball team had quite a season, including spending the majority of the season in the top 15, including sweeps against conference opponents Ohio State and IPFW. They ended up closing out their season with a 22-8 mark, losing to Lewis University in the semifinals of the MIVA Conference Tournament. However, Niemczewski will indeed return in 2015 for his junior season.
And one of his teammates, Matt Lesky, actually won second team All-American awards this year, so congratulations to him. Well, the final story we have for you on this episode is on baseball player Sean Godfrey. And this is a special cut. It's a shortened sneak preview version of the full story, which will be online very soon. The senior outfielder is having an all-MAC type season, but he wasn't even offered a scholarship out of high school. Here's the sneak peek of the Godfrey story, produced by Luke Martin, Aaron Hepp, and Brad Daly.
We think you're not really filled out enough. We think you need to get stronger. Hearing that kind of was frustrating from a standpoint, just because I thought, for myself, from my own standpoint, I thought I was good enough, and inside I believed that, I belonged at these different schools that were saying that I wasn't good enough. So inside, that kind of really frustrated me. Made me want to go out and prove these guys wrong, and more importantly, just prove it to myself. First year, it was rough. I didn't really know what to expect coming into it. We had a new head coach my first year here. 2-17 to start the year off, which was rough. I was never used to losing in my life. I've always been on winning teams. When you got times are going hard like that, I've never really kind of dealt with the kind of failure that we had. There was definitely a lot of times when I was just questioning myself, is this really what I want to be doing? Do I want to be spending all my time out here doing this? We're losing, I'm injured, the weather's cold, we're playing up in northern Indiana. Definitely thoughts come through your mind of, oh, maybe I want to transfer, maybe grass is going to be greener on the other side, it might be better somewhere else. But from there on out, I was just like, you know what, I'm going to stick with this and just keep on working, see what happens. Those are the kind of things that I would say that we've really learned from. The upperclassmen know where this program's been, and we don't really take anything for granted anymore. Every win, we're really enjoying it. So it means a lot to us. It's just, you can never be content with where you're at. You always got to keep on pushing a little bit more, getting the best, getting the most out of what you got. I don't know, just sticking with it. Keep on keeping on, I guess.
Godfrey has been really Mr. Reliable the past 2 seasons for the Cardinals, starting every game they played. And as always, the new co-host of the show, Connor Onion, Connor, was Mr. Reliable as well today. Connor, it certainly was a pleasure standing with you for more time on this beautiful set, and don't worry, we have one more together.
Well, that is the good news. I'm going to try to hold back my tears because it's been a lot of fun, and I can't wait for your last show. We have another half-an-hour show for you next month.
That's right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Driven. Remember, if you like these stories, to come find us on Facebook by searching Ball State SportsLink, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at BSU SportsLink. For everyone on the floor, our producers Emily Barker and Luke Martin, co-host Connor Onion, I'm Zach Hughes, and we'll see you next month.